Hello there, fellow adventurers! It's been a long time since my last indie game review, which was on Metaphobia all the way back in April of last year.
I just hope it doesn't bring me bad luck.
Bad luck? We just stole someone's wish, just so we could buy a bottle of water. Now I'd like to talk about one of my favorite indie adventure games of 2020. And for that, we'll have to go even further back in time to when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. Zniw Adventure, which from the in-game Encyclopedia is actually pronounced Zniw, is developed by Azure Mountain, which consists of two intrepid adventurers from Poland whose names I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce. The game is named after the young dino Zniw, who wakes up one morning and suddenly realizes it's her mother's hatch day, the dino equivalent of our human birthday. Because, as we all know, dinosaurs are hatched from an egg, and humans are born from...
the punani.
Sorry about that, this is supposed to be a family-friendly game. Zniw forgot to get her mum a present, so she ventures out in search of one. She spots a shiny pebble lying on the ground, and thinks if she had enough of them, she could make a necklace. If only she knew how hard it is to find these pebbles, but more on that later. Chasing after this pebble starts her on a great journey into the wide world beyond her home. And that's where we come in with our good old pointing and clicking skills. I actually almost stopped playing though when I realized that you can only hold one item at a time, but I soon found out that there's a practical solution to this by making our own backpack out of leaves and vines. This is a brilliant idea that makes sense within the game world and makes you really appreciate the inventory space you have rather than being able to stuff anything you want into your pants. I also find it really amusing that whenever you drop an item, it looks like you're taking a dino dump. Did I mention this was family friendly? The game doesn't have any voice acting, but it makes up for it with these portraits that really bring the characters to life and conveys their emotions. There's even one point where you meet a sentry guarding a store, and as they patrol back and forth, they move in and out of their portrait window. Like I mentioned before, there's an encyclopedia, but I wouldn't classify this as an edutainment game such as Physicus, Chemicus, or Bioscopia. Everything is presented in a fun and accessible way, with information on locations we can visit such as the Undercave. Items we can pick up like the Crocaway, which surprise surprise makes crocodiles go away. And all the dinosaurs with names that are almost as hard for me to pronounce as the game devs. The location where we spend most of our time is the village of Fungilla, where there are various stores selling their wares as well as giving out free mucus. The local currency is shells, which we can earn by doing some gardening. Obviously, this is the most challenging part of the whole game, but the trick is to pull out the weeds and water the plants. As Mr. Miyagi says, pull weeds, water plants. If we do enough gardening, we may even be able to afford a brand new backpack. Oh dear, looks like we just got ripped off. Back to the gardening. Pull weed. Water plant. We can also go fishing, though we won't be able to catch anything until later. I spent a long time here hoping to find one of those elusive pebbles. There are 27 in total, and if you collect enough of them, they unlock different bonuses. For example, here we can play a mini game called Pebble Defense. Some of these pebbles are extremely well hidden, and I didn't find all of them on my first playthrough. I'm not going to reveal where all the pebbles are, but here's how it plays out in real life. As you can see, those pebbles could be hiding in every crack, so here's a tip for finding them. If you look at the story so far, there's an option to use your pebble sense to detect how many pebbles are in your current location. If you also eat some food, it'll tell you the names of the pebbles you're missing, which is a useful clue to where they might be found. Depending on how many pebbles you collect by the end of the game, you can make your mom a different present. All 27 pebbles makes a necklace, and between 9 and 26 makes a bracelet. According to my top secret information, in other words Twitter, there are 2 other presents you can make. I'm guessing that one of them is a ring, but I'd have to replay the game to find out, which I'd quite happily do as this was a really fun and charming adventure that I'd recommend to humans and dinosaurs alike. My only real criticism is that although having limited inventory space adds a sense of realism, it does become an issue even with a bigger backpack, so you have to keep taking a dump every time it gets full. Besides all the dumping, however, this game is bursting with personality, right down to the language selection and loading screen. I mean, just look at this face, makes you wish it took longer to load. There's one part where you can trigger various classic adventure game references. Like, I'm selling these fine leather jackets from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the infamous gnome's name from King's Quest I, and look behind you, a 3-headed monkey from The Secret of Monkey Island.
Look! A 3-headed monkey!
Ha! You think I'm gonna fall for that trick? That clip is actually from a cameo I did for this recent video on Space Quest 2 by George Great, so check out his channel and link in the description below. There's also some references to other indie games such as Captain Disaster and Legend of Hand. Speaking of which, it looks like Sean Aitchison of Cloak and Dagger Games is also playing Zniw Adventure right now.
It's a great game.
It's stuck. Look at it stuck in the rock. Where'd it go?
Nicht so schnell.